Hi, and welcome to the fourth video in our PowerShell Microsoft Graph series. In the last video, we saw how we can create and how we can delete a user. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can actually update that user. So we can update the job title, you can update whether the account is enabled or not, you can update the phone numbers, you can update any property really on this user account. And I'm going to show you guys how you can do that all through the Graph SDK and using the URI method with the invoke graph request. So let's just go ahead and let's just take a look at our Azure environment for that user that we're going to be updating. And let's take a look at the documentation that Microsoft has for us for this update method. So let's go ahead and let's just take a quick look at our tenant here. So I'm not going to go ahead and create the user because I've already created the user before this video. As we can see, we have a test YT for test YouTube here. And this account, if we go look at it on the properties, we're going to see that these are the exact same properties we set in the last video. I just kind of reran that code today to have that account enabled for us. So this account is existing now, so we can go ahead and use that. And of course, we do need to know what permissions we need to run the application. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that documentation for update user. So if we take a look at that documentation for update user, as you can see, the create is still here. Everything is already here. So you just got to click on the update, but I'll also be putting the link in the description down below as well. But here, if we actually scroll down, we will see what permissions we need. So here you can actually see the least privileged permissions. User manage identities.all, and then we have the higher privileged permissions. Now, because we're going to be using that same application really, because we're going to have a manage users application, we already have that users.read-write-all. So that's all we really need. But if you look down below, you will see permissions for specific scenarios. So you will see if you need to update the employee leave time, it'll tell you what you need, the custom security attributes, the other mails. So if you do need to change something specific and you're having issues with the permissions that you've assigned it based on this table here, take a quick look at the permissions for specific scenarios. You might need to grant slightly extra permissions based on the property that you're trying to update. But for what we're doing in this video, the user read write all that we assigned in the first video to our application will be just fine. And if we go ahead and we take a look at the app registrations here, and we can see this YouTube manage users, I've recreated this today so it has a fresh client ID from the last time. And of course, like I've always said, after this video, as soon as I'm done recording, it gets deleted. But we can see here the client ID, and if we go look at the API permissions, I only have that user.read-write-all, kind of like what we had in our last video to create and delete those users. And let's go ahead and let's actually get started. So let's just go ahead and get back to our user that we want to actually go ahead and update, because we will need to know the user principal name first. You could actually just grab the ID right away, but I want to show you guys how we're going to get that ID dynamically through our code. So let's go ahead and let's go to our code. So we have our basics here that we've used now for the last couple videos, which is just that basic connect to graph connection. And we are able to run this, and we are going to see that we are now connected through our application. So the first thing that we want to do if we want to go ahead and update a user is go and grab that user object. So what I like to do here is I like to create a variable called mg_user, and we're going to make that equal to get-mg_user, and we're going to do the parameter user ID, and we're going to go ahead and put some double quotes here. We're going to do test YT at, and we're just going to put in our variable here of the tenant domain name just to make that simpler for us. And then what we're going to want to do, because if we just do this and we run this, we're going to see that we do get the display name, the ID, and the user principal name, which is fantastic. At least we get the ID back with this, which is one of the properties that I want. But we are going to be testing doing the account disable and re-enable. So let's go ahead and let's grab the specific properties that we actually want, which is a good practice to start doing, which is only grab the properties that you need. So let's go ahead, let's grab the ID, the user principal name, and let's go ahead and let's grab the account enabled property. Now, once again, if you don't know what the property names are, one of the good ways to do it is if we just copy paste that get mg user line here, and we go ahead and pipe that to select star, and you go ahead and you run that and you look at the output that it gives you, you will actually see all the different values that are available to choose from. And here you can see the account enabled, and you'll see that it's blank. And that's because we didn't specify to select it in the property field. So by default, that property does not come back. So that is just a good thing to do. And also, as I showed in the last video, if you go into that documentation and just look at the user resource type, you will see all the methods, but also all the properties that you could pull back as well. So that would be another feasible option to do. But once we go ahead and we take all those properties here, if we go ahead and we just run this code, you will see that we get still display name, but it's blank again, because we didn't put that in our property field. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and pipe that to select ID, user principal name, and account enabled. And now if we go ahead and we run this entire line here, and we look at what's stored in mg user, we have the ID of our user, we have the user principal name, and we have the account enabled value, which that's exactly what we want. Now, of course, if you want to pull back the job title, the employee ID, this is something that you would be typically doing in a production workflow, especially for a manage users script, which, like I said, we're going to be actually creating one of those later on as like a project part of this graph series. But to just test it out, I want to keep the number of properties fairly small, so this way we can really learn what we're actually doing. So once we actually pull that mg user and we have the ID, let's go ahead and let's perform our update. So what I like to do is I like to create a body variable here. We're going to make that equal to a object or hash table with some key value pairs. And let's go ahead and let's do account enabled equals false. And let's just start with that first. Let's just disable the account, and then we're going to go ahead and re-enable it. And then we'll do a couple other little updates here. So what we can do is we can do update-mg user, and then we have the user ID. So what we can actually do is use our mg user variable .id. Now the reason why I'm referencing the ID is oftentimes, especially for me, I use the update mg user oftentimes to update the user principal name. So it just makes it a little bit more standardized if I reference it with the ID, because then I don't have to update what user principal name that I'm using to go fetch it if that's what I'm updating. It's just something that I use in practice. It makes it a little bit easier to manage. And once we have that user ID, there is a body parameter, and we can go ahead and we could put our body in there. And then what we can go ahead and do is let's just do a simple, let's copy paste this get mg user line just to see if it's actually updated here. And instead of the user ID putting that in manually, we can actually just go ahead and use the mg user again. So if we go ahead and run the body and the update mg user here, and let's go ahead and let's get the mg user, we can actually see that the account enabled equals false. And if we go ahead and put true in there, run those lines again, get the MG user. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time, but there it is. Now it is now true. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's update some different properties here. Let's update the actual user principal name. But in order to update the actual user principal name, it is also highly recommended to update that mail nickname at the same time. So let's go ahead and let's do test YT2. So instead of test YT, it is test YT2. And then we're going to do the user principal name is going to be test YT2 at, and then tenant domain name. So if we go ahead and we run these lines here, and let's do the get MG user, and there it is. So it's already actually updated. We can see that the test YT2 is actually already updated. If we actually go back into our user object and hit refresh, we can actually see that the user principal name is test YT2. And if we go into properties, we should be able to see that mail nickname has also been updated to test YT2. All right. So now that we've done it now with the SDK, with the actual commandlet that Microsoft has given us, let's go ahead and let's try it with just that invoke-mg graph request here. So what we're going to do is we are going to put in our URI variable, and let's go find what that URI is. So if we go back into that documentation, into update, and let's scroll down here, and we are going to see some examples here. But here it's the update properties of the signed in user. We're not going to want this one, but here it's the update properties of specified user. And here you're going to see that URI here, and we can see that the method is patch. So let's go ahead and let's paste that. And for the ID, what we can once again do is we can actually reference that mguser.id that we have. And then we can do the invoke-mg graph request. The URI is going to be that URI variable. The method is going to be patch. And our body is going to be our body parameter. And let's go ahead and let's just change this to false. And let's go ahead, let's make another change to the username, like the mail nickname and the user principal name. Go ahead, let's just run this body here. And then we're going to run these two lines. So that's going to go ahead and call that API and make that change once again. And let's just copy paste this get MG user once again right underneath it. And if we look at it, we can see that the account is now false for enabled, and we can see that user principal name. And if we go ahead and we go into our browser here, hit refresh. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to actually refresh the entire browser here. And there it is. So we can see test YT3. We can go into properties. We can see test YT3. We can see test YT3 in the mail nickname as well. And if we go ahead and look here, we should see that it's actually not enabled. And I believe that we will see right here, account status is disabled. So if we actually just leave that like that, let's go ahead and let's change the account enabled to true here. Highlight that entire body and do it by that invoke MG graph request once again. And we run that, and we just go ahead and we hit refresh a couple times. It does take a little bit of time, and there it is. So we can now see that it is now enabled. So that is really the easy way to update a user. And again, you can update a bunch of different properties. We could easily go ahead and change that job title here to testing for YouTube video. And if we go ahead and select that entire body and go ahead and let's just do it with the update-mg user commandlet. If we run that, let's go back into our browser here, hit refresh. go into properties. You can still see it says CEO here. Let's go ahead, let's just refresh that entire browser. And let's go into properties. And there it is, job title, testing for YouTube video. So you can do a bunch of different updates. Everything could be in the body. Again, you can have the properties that aren't even changing in that body. It doesn't make a difference. Where this is really, really helpful is if you have a script to automate your employees' accounts through your HR data, you can definitely check for changes, or you could just apply those changes constantly. It's kind of up to you. We're going to be doing that in a project just in a few weeks, so you guys can actually see how I would do it with a CSV file that comes from an HR department, or whichever department that would come from, you guys, or just a random file. For me, it's just going to be a file that I manually create as a CSV file with a bunch of employee IDs, some users, and some job titles. So this is it. In the next video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can use the Graph API to also send emails. So we've seen in previous videos of mine how to send emails using PowerShell. This time we're going to be using PowerShell and Graph, which is now the new recommended method from Microsoft to be able to send off those emails and not use that send mail message commandlet. So we're going to be taking a look at that next week. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys would like to see something specifically done in Graph with PowerShell, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to perform every single one of those for you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, you hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out, and I will see you guys on the next video.